part 2 from a different angle. So, where did I leave off? So my grandma had a dysphonia in her wrist. Anytime she was writing or anything, it would like pull in the opposite direction of what she was trying to do. Oh, my mom also had that when I was younger. I forgot about that. My mom had to get these giant pens off of Amazon because she was trying like helplessly to fix it, because anytime she wrote, her hand would just do the opposite, and it was like she was working against her own body, which is really sad. And my grandma's sister had one of those dystonias in her neck. So she was obviously old, but eventually her neck just got stuck to one side. So anytime she was driving, she had to like twist her whole body in order to see the road. And I think her name was Leona, which is one of the people who I was named after. And it just came out of nowhere, like one day she dropped a cup or something and went to pick it up, and then her neck just somehow got stuck there, and there was no way to fix it. At least that's the story I've heard. And I think that another one of my grandma's sisters had a neck issue too, but her neck just always shook. Like how some people just always seem to shake their head. Let's talk about my parents. Let's talk about how my mom married someone who was school smart, because my mom never cared about school smarts. So as some of you might remember, I said before that my parents were opposites when I think about it. So growing up, that a lot for me to think about. And there was a period in my life during high school when I thought of my dad as like blue and my mom as red. And together they made purple. But that's symbolically. And that does have something to do with their genders. But also just how different they were. I spent a lot of time thinking about my parents, trying to understand them inside and out. Because I thought it was the key to understanding myself better. But then, when the divorce came, that belief was probably not the best one to have for that situation. Some memories from my childhood. A Sunny D commercial. A Bob Evans, some kind of breakfast sandwich brand. Rite Aid, which is a pharmacy. There was a Greek pizza place that my mom never liked, so she never stopped there even though I wanted pizza. Grocery shopping with my mom. One time, one of her buddies at the grocery supermarket dropped his crate of mandarin oranges and they went all over the floor. And then my mom got mad at me for not helping him pick it up. I was a scared child, like I said. So, I was scared of any social interaction, so if I wasn't, I would have definitely picked them up. Going on runs with my dad or on walks with my dad. There was a dam on the way to his work that he used to run at because he had started running to lose weight. And it was a woods road, very long. Very bumpy. not well paved. And my brother and I were just walking there alone one day, kind of scared because we were like 5 and 6 or something, or 4 and 5. Because my dad went on a run and he said to just walk and he would meet us on his way back. And I think my brother was scared. And I was too, but I was trying to act like I was, like, not scared, because I was a big sister. So I was, like, making fun of him for being scared. Because he kept asking, like, when's Daddy gonna be back? And I was like, he'll be back when he's done with his run. Even though I was, like, thinking the same thing. And I think that there had been, like, one other pedestrian that walked by. There was a lot of wildlife around us. Very sunny, illuminating, like, green leaves. The smell was warm. Spring. Anytime we went to work with my dad, he worked alone at the sewage treatment plant, so he basically just told us don't touch anything. Then he would give us hand sanitizer, and it was a routine every time. We would just follow him around as he does his job and wait for him to record everything, all the numbers on the paper. And he used a long plastic rod thing to mix the sewage water, which was in a big square tank. Then there was also like big square tanks with lids on them with big gears that was like churning it. And I always liked how it smelled in there. Like, it didn't smell bad. It had a very distinct smell. It was strong, but it just smelled very earthy, and I don't know, I liked it. It didn't smell at all like a bathroom. There were a lot of spider webs. So many spider webs. It was dark. There were sticky fly traps hanging, those spiral ones with a bunch of gnats all over, stuck to them. There was a shelf with a lot of old tools and metal and random stuff. Then there was an outside door on the other side, which my dad would walk down the, like, square steps, like earthy steps, to, maybe it was concrete, I don't know, to a cylindrical cement well-looking thing, where he would check something and then come back in. And he always said, don't close that door because it will lock you out. So we were like, okay, we'll just be here holding it. And I don't know if we held it actually. I have weird dreams about that one now. He actually worked at 2 sewage treatment plants. So this one I'm talking about is the Whitingham one. So right on the other side of it There's the parking area is suitable for like 1 to maybe 2 vehicles. And there is a cement about 2 feet high and then fencing up the rest, maybe like 5 feet. And looking out, there is a very steep river, like very rocky, very aggressive river. There's also a little house like right in the middle of the river, like a little shed looking thing that's clearly been abandoned for a long time and it's like all falling apart, but it's always cool to look at, and I was like, I want to see that, like I want to go down there. Then there was a dirt road that wrapped around on the other side of the river that we could see. There were houses over there. There usually was a lot of people over there, like a lot of men in trucks, and I like never knew what they were doing. And sorry about that. So the sewage treatment plant also had metal stairs to get up to the big tank full of sewage. Metal stairs that were not solid. They were basically like the framework of stairs. And I was scared I would fall through the very gaping holes because it was very steep. So walking up them was a lot of pressure on me. And there was a lot of pipes between the 2 tanks. Then there was my dad's office area, which was kind of messy. There was a commercial old sink, a shower, like a standing shower, and a toilet, all very old-fashioned looking. And the door was always open. Then the Jacksonville treatment plant was another 10 to 15 minutes drive further away from where we were living. But this one was closer to where my grandma lived, just right past her house pretty much. That's my dad's mom, the one who bought our original house from us when we moved out when I was a baby. Oh my gosh, why is my face so greasy? I'm so sorry about that. But the Jacksonville one was bigger. The office had like 2 separate rooms to it. A door and then just a doorway. And then my dad had his computer set up. He had photos of us on the wall. He had like stuff that we had drew for him. Like I drew the family and a horse. The family was like separated into 4 categories for like mommy, daddy, Nick, and Leanna. And for my dad, I think I drew like guitars. For my mom, I drew flowers. My brother, I drew wallets. And for me, I drew ladybugs. Because I was drawing the number of how old we were. So for my parents, I just did like 4 and 5 for like 40 something and 50 something. Even though I don't think my dad was even 50 yet. So the Jacksonville sewage treatment plant, my dad just had us wait in the office for him to finish it usually. And in the entranceway of it, there were hanging on the wall maybe 5 or 6 master padlocks, and they each had a different color lining. And my brother and I always liked looking at them, and we wanted one. My dad always said, no, you can't have those. But eventually he brought us home then, and we thought it was the coolest thing. He brought 2 different colors. And I think it was white and yellow, the worst possible colors. Or it was blue and yellow. I kept mine longer than my brother did. He lost it. So tired. My dad would also, the Jacksonville one stunk worse. The office always smelled like some weird granola or something. I didn't like the smell of it. And what was I just about to say? But outside, there was woods in the distance beyond a old field that probably used to have cows in it or horses. There were some small little pine trees around the front and back. There were wooden posts marking the edge of the driveway. On the left side, there's a garage door in the building. Sidewalk to the front door. Sometimes my dad would bring us to the other office building of where all the bosses were. The higher up people, like the town hall or something. And he would come back out with Dum-Dums or Tootsie Pops for us. Probably because the people in there offered them for the kids. I don't know. Or my dad got them. Because they were free. My dad was thoughtful like that. I spent too much of my life trying to understand my parents when I should have just been trying to focus on myself. In the back of my head, a bunch of nods and applause. My parents never loved me the way I wanted to be loved. That's why I always look to my grandma. Because to me, she represented everything that love should be and feel like. Because she was very loving and she showed it. No one else in my family did. My grandma wasn't the smartest, though. And she admits that. So that's why I say it. It's like just a fact, not an offensive thing. When we were alone in the log cabin, just my parents and my brother and me, they had us go to bed at like 6 p.m. every night, which my brother was fine with, but I never wanted to go to bed. And there was one time when I hid under the like kitchen counter in the entranceway, like with my knees drawn to my chest, hiding from my mom because she said like she was about to say it was bedtime. And I was just like, I don't want to go to bed. And I think she felt that, so she said, you can stay up for another 30 minutes. But she seemed agitated. She tried pushing me, crying a lot before she eventually just said, you can stay up for a little bit longer. So when we were younger, my mom would lay with us before bed. And she would usually lay with me longer because I was especially scared of the nighttime. Because my parents' bedroom was on the second floor. They had a loft bedroom. Our bedrooms were on the ground level. And obviously, a little kid's not going to like that. Like, first of all, the parents are an entire house length away from you when you're sleeping at night. Second off, how come the parents are allowed to be upstairs and the kids have to be where all the scary bears and other things could be like right outside your window at night? So I heard from friends at school that most of them or everyone slept on the second floor, and I was like jealous and sad because that's what I wanted. And then later on watching like YouTube videos about how other parents are, how they like co-sleep with their kids, and how my mom never did that. She actually just left me alone all the time. It reminded me of a great sense of sadness in me. Every thought I went through as a baby, even before I knew words. My brain was formed, and it was a constant cycle of just wanting and needing, so crying for help, and never showing up, so eventually, instead of just choking on my tears and stuff, I just had to stop crying and forget about it. And I'm not sure if anyone else has been raised by a mother who didn't cover them when they were crying. Not as a once in a while thing, but a intentional belief that this is good for the child. And to where they wouldn't even let my grandma come for me, which I heard them talking about, and when I heard my grandma's voice I would cry louder because it was the closest I felt to actually just having someone acknowledge me. It definitely created resentment for my mom because my grandma wanted to do that, and my mom was so like mean and just stressed. I could hear it in her voice. And my grandma just accepted that she wasn't my mom, so she had to let my mom raise me, which I didn't agree with. I was like, that's bullshit. And the video's gonna stop recording.